Mohammed Noor testifying in his own defense. Danny Spiewak tells us what was said in the courtroom.
For the first time in public today, Mohammed Noor told his side of the story. He testified that he shot Justine Ruszczyk-Damond because he feared for his partner's life. But he said that once he realized he'd killed an unarmed woman, his, quote, world came crumbling down. Noor testified that on the night of the shooting in a squad car while responding to a 911 call of a possible sexual assault, he heard a bang and saw a woman with blonde hair and a pink t-shirt raise her arm. Noor said his partner, Matthew Harity, yelled, quote, "Oh Jesus," and grabbed for his gun, but Noor said it got stuck. That's a contradiction from what Harity testified. Noor said it was the most scared he'd ever seen his partner, so he fired one shot to end what he called a threat from the raised arm. Afterward, Noor said he felt paralysis and had trouble breathing. He said he never would have gone into law enforcement had he known this would happen. But the prosecution spent a half-hour cross-examining him, pointing out that Noor admitted he never saw Justine Ruszczyk-Damond's hands and never actually saw a weapon. The prosecution also pointed out that Harity testified he only saw a silhouette outside his window, whereas Noor testified today that he saw an actual woman and could describe the color of her hair as well as her shirt. Cross-examination will continue in the morning. From the Hennepin County Government Center, I'm Danny Spiewak, KARE 11 News.